Welcome to the Innovators Insider Podcast. I'm Richard Doyle, the user group guy, and I'm here with my co-host, the professor, Michael LaFleche, and we have got a fantastic show for you today. Really been looking forward to this. It's been set up now for a couple of weeks. I can't believe it's actually happening, but it is. And I'm going to go ahead and let Michael introduce our guest for today.
Yes. Nice to see you again, Richard, and hopefully you're staying cool in Vegas.
Well, it was 111 degrees yesterday, so I'm doing my best, but
well, let's get started. So our guest is Joel from the 3D Printing Nerd YouTube channel. Welcome to the show, Joel.
What's up?
So happy.
Thanks for having me. 111
degrees.
That's when you can print ABS outdoors easily.
That's the middle of July in Las Vegas, and we just learned to live with it. So, hey, I love your background there, Joel. Thanks for I mean, that's going to look great on our show on YouTube. So,
well, thanks I cleaned up for you.
Joel, so if for people that might not know who you are, the very few out there that probably don't know who you are, you run a great YouTube channel, lots of subscribers, lots of great content, 3D printing technology, engineering stuff, just fun interviews with really cool people. Mm-hmm. I think that kind of sums it up, but you also are a mean high fiver.
I do. I don't know where it came from, but years ago, in one of the videos I uploaded to YouTube, I said, I wanted to give everybody a high five. And so I just offered them a high five, and it stuck, and people just went with it. And so anytime I was anywhere in public, hey, Joe, high five. And it's been a lot of times, you can't give yourself your own nickname. You can't control, those little moments that almost meme themselves. And just being known for a high five, it's really not that bad. I mean, it could be a lot worse, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great thing. It's definitely a great thing. High fives are something that we should all aspire to and learn.
So I think so. Just a good, proper high five. Absolutely.
There you go.
Absolutely. It's nothing worse than a missed high five either.
It's just an opportunity to try again. That's all it is. You got to look on the positive side of things, right?
So I'm kind of curious, I would love to hear a little bit more about yourself, like how you got into 3D printing, what led you to develop a channel, that kind of talked about this stuff. Why are you so passionate about this kind of stuff?
That's I've been a nerd all my life. I remember one Christmas, my parents gave me like a dozen rolls of masking tape because I was always cutting up cardboard and taping it together and making these massive forts for my G.I. Joe figures, trap doors and doors for the vehicles and things that could connect and stuff. So I've always been a nerd. And so the passion for it really, I think, is just something that I grew up for. I'm passionate about tech in general. Like it's just the process, the mechanical or the engineering process of doing something, I think is just fascinating. And so that's what I'm passionate about. But for 3D printing, so I've always been a fan of this. I watched my buddy Jerry, who goes by Barnacle Nerdgasm on YouTube. He was one of the first ones that really brought it to my eyes. Tom Sandlatterer, and I think it was I would see stories on Slashdot. Remember Slashdot? Way back in the day. I just kind of got interested in this 3D printing tech, and I always wanted one, but it was always kind of expensive for what we're trying to do. And so Christmas of 2014. My wife and kids, they went to Amazon, found one on sale, and bought one for me. It was a FlashForge Creator Pro. So we're talking Christmas of 2014. So ABS was still the main filament that people were using in the consumer side. And it was a dual extruder, and it was awesome. And I just remember I got it for Christmas night. I don't think I went to bed until a few days later, just playing with it. And it was so exciting. And obviously, like anybody with their very first 3D printer, the very first thing that came to my mind was, how do I use this to make money? Which I actually, because I worked for Adobe at the time as a software engineer on the After Effects team. So I had access to Adobe tools. And what's crazy, Photoshop has a 3D engine in it. And I was able to use Photoshop's 3D engine to create STL files of cookie cutters that I then sold to friends on Facebook. And at one point, I utilized this utility called OpenSCAD, which is because I'm familiar with JavaScript. And so, OpenSCAD is an ECMA 262 based kind of CAD language. It was really easy for me to take to. I made a GoPro camera rig where I had 2 knurled handles on either side and a way to slot the GoPro and a light in, because I wanted to chase my kids around the yard when searching for Easter eggs. 3D printing to the rescue, right? Because if you just hold a camera like this, it's not very steady. Well, in making that, I thought other people might want to do this. And rather than become a manufacturing facility, I thought if I teach people, right, don't, if you give a person to fish, they eat once. If you teach them to fish, they eat for longer. So I taught people how to make this via a YouTube video. And I remember this. I was like, I want to put this on YouTube. I got to think of a channel, and it's going to be 3D printing related. So it'll have 3D printing in the title. And I'm a really big nerd, 3D printing nerd. Hey, it's perfect. It's tongue in cheek. It's doesn't take itself too seriously. And so what did I know, right? Back in the day. So we're talking in early parts of 2015, I made the channel and I uploaded a video on how to use OpenSCAD to create this GoPro camera rig. And that's it. That's where it started. Like, I was a software engineer at Adobe making videos because I was passionate about the tech. And it got to the point where I had to make the choice of either a full-time job at Adobe or doing content creation full-time, because it just got to that point. So that's my origin story. That's it. You can thank my wife and kids for getting me here.
Your wife, kids, the Easter Bunny,
everyone. Absolutely. Yeah. Wife, kids, Easter Bunny. I never thought about it that way, but that's a great way to think about it.
Amazing. So, obviously your first 3D printer has a close kind of like place in your heart, I would imagine. But are there other, 3D printing technologies perhaps that you've encountered, used over the years? Maybe you could, explain your, experience with some of the different technologies out there.
Oh, sure. I'm looking at my screen and I'm frozen. Am I frozen for you?
You are frozen.
But we can still hear you just swell, Joel.
Yeah.
Here, let's try this. Let's see what I can do.
Try that. I'm going to remove you and then add you again. All right. This has never happened before. So
no, I've not seen that one.
Yeah. Well, we'll get him back.
Well, that's a pretty good origin story.
Yeah.
I liked hearing that. Yeah.
There you are.
There we go. Hey, I'm back. Look at that.
All right.
Thanks to the wonders of technology.
Yes. Yes. A momentary lapse in the internet, but
that's what works. I always say the internet burped. That's what happened. The internet burped. The internet burped. So other technologies. Well, obviously, so with me and that FlashForge Creator Pro, it's obviously FFF. I'm melting plastic out of a nozzle and depositing it. Let's see. From there, I remember. So if we go in like chronological order, from there, I remember I got my first look at SLA printing via a Formlabs Form 2 that a friend of mine had. And I thought that was fascinating. I was like, oh my God, this is the end all be all do all. Look at the fantastic detail you can get from these things. And then let's see. So from there, and eventually I got myself some resin machines as well. From there, I think my neck really for the first few years of what I was doing, just because it was very consumer focused and retail focused. It was mostly just FFF, and then later kind of getting into the SLA and the DLP and the MSLA sort of stuff. But like there's a company that's kind of close to me called Onshape, and they have the Formlabs Fuse 1, the SLS machine. And now that is what really starts to fascinate me because of. And I said this at the time, it doesn't feel like you're making parts. It really feels like product. It feels like finished product. Whereas, stuff spitting out of these machines here, it takes a while before you can kind of consider something done. But when let's see, there we go. There's my mini Joel. Let's see. So that is
likeness.
SLS. That is sintered nylon right there.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. And another great thing about the SLS,
and obviously the people here's the crazy thing. Like I love this stuff. And I just showed you a sintered nylon little minifigure, and there's probably more than 50% of your audience being like, so I have like trinkets of that all over my desk, right?
Yeah, but this
trying.
is all about learning too, right?
Yeah.
You print
Oh,
this
no.
stuff, you
Hold
learn
on.
something, right?
Hold on.
All right. We are holding. we see you have an office full of fun. So yeah,
we do. Let's see. Other technologies that I've kind of, so I was at the Rapid TCT show, and I did my live show called Show and Telling. It's a great name.
Clever.
I had on, it was Stratasys I had on, and they had on these 3D printed fabric. It was like the printed parts were built up on the fabric, and I don't remember which process it was using, but it was fascinating to see. And they actually made one for me. I wish I could show it to you. It's in a different room.
Sounds really interesting. I wish
that was
been there. Yeah,
it was really cool. You should go to Rapid. You would love it.
Yes, I have gone in the past.
I haven't ever had the opportunity, but I know a lot of those folks that go. So,
yeah. Well, like you said, you're in Vegas. Are there shows near you?
We get some CAD shows in this area. Of course, the last couple of years with the pandemic, everything really slowed down. But there will be some CAD shows that come into town. I haven't seen anything specifically about 3D printing. Okay. I think that's typically more in the San Francisco and Los Angeles areas where I see those events. So
the West Coast is kind of dry as far as 3D printing conferences.
Yeah, yes and no. Some of the smaller, some smaller shows that are happening out there, especially in San Francisco. San Francisco actually has some people that are interested in working with 3D printing. So I've seen some of that in person when I visited one of the user groups down there. So they are doing some stuff. Yep.
Cool. Yep. Okay, that's good to know.
So. So the last two videos of yours that I watched that I really liked. Number one was the project that you did with Neil Patrick Harris. And the other one was Thanos' sword. And the reason I put those two together is that exactly the weeks and weeks of 3D printing that it took to finish these projects. I got to wonder, how many projects do you run simultaneously or
that's
time?
Super good question. So it's feast or famine. I'm either running multiple things at the same time, or there's a week goes by where literally no machine is running. It's different. So my job is I'm essentially a work from home. I mean, I have a studio and I have a print farm, and I can leave the home to do my job, but essentially it's a work from home job. And so there are times, it's just like with, I would imagine you guys, like sometimes you just don't want to go to work. Right. And for me, because I work from home, I just don't go to work. I mean, I doom scroll on my phone, and I answer some emails, or, leave comments on some videos and whatnot. But part of content creation is having the right mindset in order to continually do something like this. And you have to, God, I don't want to say I'm lazy, but I'm really lazy. And I try to grab on
is the word, right?
That's right. Absolutely. I just try to grab onto moments of inspiration. And so I'm glad you brought up the Thanos sword, and I'm glad you brought up the Neil Patrick Harris stuff, because those were almost directed, pre-planned, premeditated in a way. So I had multiple machines running because I had a deadline in place, and I had to get something done in order for something else to work. With the Thanos sword, it was because we had a deadline for when this episode needed to air. For the Neil Patrick Harris stuff, we had plane tickets. So, I mean, we had some immovable plane tickets with an A-list celebrity to visit. So that is an immovable date. And so sure. That's why a lot of times that's when that kicks kicks your gears that kicks you into high gear, and you just go forth and you do stuff, and you have a bunch of things running, and you're almost working 24/7 just to make sure things are right and stuff. But there was one episode I did. Have you heard of Bob? He runs the channel I Like to Make Stuff. Yes. He's a wonderful human, absolutely just just wonderful human. If you ever meet him in person, you'll think the same thing. He was working with the content creators, Evan and Caitlin, and they were doing something with hot glue or resin. And they said, "Oh no, we got a little bit of these."
I'm Bob, and I like to make.
Oh, there
that
it is.
Guy. Yeah. They were doing some work with a hot glue or resin or something, and they said, "Oh no, we got some of these little boogers around here," and they had to pick off these hot glue boogers from something. And then Bob at one point said, "Well, he was doing it the best." And he said, "I'm the booger master," and it was like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and inspiration struck. And you get those ideas late at night. Sometimes they tell you to write it down on a notepad so that you can get it out of your mind to go to bed. I work from home, so rather than writing down that idea, I got into CAD and started designing something, and I got my printers going, and I got a laser cutter going, and I made a frame for Bob in his orange color that said Booger Master. And then I used my father-in-law's Glowforge at the time to raster an image of Bob's profile picture. And then I used some tape to make a hinge on the back. And it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and I filmed all this, and I started furiously typing on my keyboard to get it all together. And so by 6, 7 o'clock the next morning, I put out a video calling Bob a Booger Master, but I did all of this custom work, and I had multiple machines firing all at once, and it was really glorious. And it's just part of this is having to grab onto that idea and just go forth with it. And so having these large projects, being able to have multiple machines going at a time is always a blessing, just because I have those. But like right now at my studio, there are, I want to say 20 different additive machines, and 2 of them are running. Mm-hmm. That's it.
It's an orchestra of 3D printers. I can imagine it's like you're playing the 1812 Overture while in 3D printers.
When these 2 are going, I can't do a podcast because it makes too much noise, and it comes through on the microphone right here.
Yeah,
just those 2, and so that orchestra there is crazy. But when you have 7, 8, or 10 going,
yeah, that's a workshop. That's amazing. I love hearing this. And it gives me hope. I have a place right here, like scoped out for my first 3D printer.
Yeah,
it's shocking for you to know. I've been in CAD since the mid 90s, and I've obviously worked for a lot of companies that have 3D printers, but I've never literally 3D printed a part myself. People may think I'm a fraud.
No.
Done. So what's the best way for somebody to get into 3D printing?
Well, then if someone said if someone told me what you told me, first I would give you a hug and tell you it's okay. You are not a fraud, right?
Okay.
Which is like a good, hold on. Like I would hold. But then is there something specific that might be keeping you from making that leap to bringing your 3-dimensional design into the real world? Is it, are you scared? Is it a monetary thing? Is it a space issue? That's kind of when you start to dive deeper. If someone were to ask me, I can't just be like, "Oh, buy this printer, you'll be good."
Because there are different printers for different purposes and different space requirements and different price ranges, and
we're all unique, pretty flowers, and we all have our own story.
Right.
So what's your story? I have to know. Why don't you have a printer?
Well, let's say I want to build stuff around the house. My wife loves making figures. Like she plays D&D and things like that, right? So
that's awesome.
We need, obviously we want a 3D printer for that, but I also want 3D printer for like making fixtures and things around the house and things like, the GoPro mount type stuff, right?
Absolutely.
So if I were to go around and like want a GoPro mount device, a device that would sit on a 18-inch kind of cubic space somehow in my room, and I am a professional CAD user. I use Onshape, of course. So like, where would you go, if you were looking for structurally stable, kind of 3D printing technologies?
Well, normally for something like this, knowing what I know now that you've told me, first for your wife that likes to do D&D stuff, you can look at inexpensive small resin 3D printers. That technology has just hockey sticked. It has taken off. And for a few $100s, you can get something that has a 4K screen that's this size. And so your pixel density is really tight, and the pixels are small. And you can, like, I did this a while ago. This little, this is Bernie with his mittens on at the inauguration a long time ago. So for your wife getting into this, I'm sorry, you did bring her up, so I do have to address this. Just a few $100s and some inexpensive Soraya resin off Amazon could get her started with some fantastic D&D miniatures. Now, for you though, structural parts, there are resins for home use that do have more strength and rigidity and can withstand impacts, but still, going plastic is going to be the way to go. You can typically find an Ender 3 Pro on sale at Micro Center for anywhere between $99 and like $150. It's not the best machine ever, but as an Onshape user, you're going to have some technical skills. And so I would have no reservations in recommending a technical hardware thing for you, because I would think you'd be able to kind of get through it. But it fits your space requirements. As far as cost, I just told you it's between $100 when it's on sale or $150, $160 when it's not.
You spend this on lunch, for crying out loud.
Yeah, exactly. I've spent more for less, is what I like to say. As far as material goes, you can get a lot of home-based for structural, for prototyping. PLA materials are fine. And you can find those anywhere. I know with Prime Day, they were on sale for $12 to $15 for a 1 kilogram roll. You can really find them everyday priced from reputable resellers and 3D printing shops for like $19 to $21 for a 1 kilogram spool. Nice.
There's really no excuse now for me not to do this.
For you especially. Now I can't say that for everyone, but for you and is that a digital fire behind you?
It is a digital fire.
That's amazing. See, here's what you could do. You could design your parts in Onshape and then have your Ender 3 lit well with that digital fire behind it, and then live stream on TikTok.
Okay. All right. I think you're getting the gears turning, and those gears are going to be 3D printed.
Well, and Michael, I think all you're going to have to do is show your wife this podcast, and you're going to have a 3D printer in your house, because she's going to be so excited that Joel focused on her for a little while. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. She listens to every episode.
Good.
Is that what she tells you?
I know.
It's what my kids tell me too. So who knows?
Really though, but all joking aside, it's crazy of how easy it is to get into the world, the hobby or the commercial side or the industrial side of additive manufacturing at this point. Because what I just described to you for an Ender 3, you've probably seen videos on that. You understand how they work.
Yeah.
A lot of the skills necessary to run that directly apply towards bigger machines at industrial manufacturers. And so not only am I giving you the power to create these wonderful structural things at home, you're gaining skills directly transferable to machines that are going to be running like crazy over the next couple of years, getting the additive world up to speed.
Right.
I'm very inspirational. I try to big picture things, You've got me looking for a spot for my 3D printer in my little studio apartment here. So now I know you've done tons of projects. You've been around for a long time. Is there one particular project that stands out in your mind, or maybe one personality that you've worked with that really kind of stuck with you all these years? Or
one of the it just seems like I should say Neil Patrick Harris. Just because he's probably the largest or well-known global celebrity that I've worked with. I mean, I've had lots of amazing experiences with people from all disciplines all over the world because I've been able to travel. But I think what made the Neil Patrick Harris experience really special is that it was community driven. It was a number of years ago that he sent a tweet out saying, "I'm looking to get back into 3D printing. What should I get? Who should I talk to?" And hundreds of people replied to him saying, "Talk to Joel." So, I mean, I replied too, and I said, "Hey, I'm more than happy to help you out." But eventually it was that groundswell effort that my producer took to a friend of a friend, because he's worked in Hollywood for a number of years, and he knew someone who knew someone who then got that information to Neil's assistant. And then eventually that got us a Zoom phone call, which then led to the live stream, which then led to a trip out to his house. And so as far as personality goes, he's a wonderful human, just gracious and kind and warm and welcoming. But being able to work with him was very much because the global community gave him my name, and so it feels good. Those feelings that just kind of make you warm and make you smile a little bit. It's one of those.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Neil Patrick Harris myself. Wasn't a big fan of Doogie Howser, but the How I Met Your Mother show was just fantastic, and he was wonderful in that. So, so you say you've worked with some other folks. I assume some of those are content creators from YouTube that you've connected with. Who are some of your favorite YouTubers that maybe our Onshape folks should be following?
Oh, well, I'm actually wearing his shirt right now. Maker's Muse. So down in Australia, Angus, he runs the show Maker's Muse, and he and Tom and myself, we kind of came up at the same time. Tom was always doing stuff before, but the 3D printing on YouTube stuff really started to take off. I think I entered at the perfect time. It's a bit of luck. But one of those people that I got to meet, but as Tom in Germany, who is just a wonderful human, Angus down in Australia. I would consider him one of my better friends. He's amazing to talk to. He has an industrial design background. A lot of his videos have been very CAD focused, which I think would be relevant to your Onshape audience. And he's able to take CAD principles and design principles, and with his fantastic Aussie accent, relay those via video. And he's a good dude. I solidly think you should have him and Tom Sandlatter on your show. Absolutely.
We'll make it so for
sure. We'll get Reed working on that right away.
Yeah, come on, Reed, go.
Our fantastic Reed at our company. He does so much, and it's good to call out the people that help us on the podcast.
Yeah, Reed's good. I've talked to Reed a number of times. Solid human.
We should certainly mention Supriya as well. Because she does a lot of promo work for us, which we certainly appreciate.
Exactly.
There we go.
Cool. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Well, and speaking with Onshape and being able to put out updates every 3 weeks, so before all this at Adobe, I was a software engineer in test, like a QA engineer. What do they call it? Software engineer in test, I think, or a QA engineer in test. I did development work on the QA side, and I've been brought up in software QA. I've worked many jobs, a few at Microsoft. I had my own startup company. I worked for Nuance Communications, who does Siri for the iPhone, or did at one point. I've had a lot of experience in software, and for you to have a release schedule every 3 weeks, that is like you guys are tuned in. Like I would imagine you are efficient, and being able to do that just boggles my mind.
Well, it's all part of the agile kind of design methodology, right? You have smaller projects that you can realize.
Oh, I'm well versed in agile. I promise you that. But you make it work, which is fantastic to hear.
Yep.
And our customers love it too. You should check out the forums on new release day, and the comments that come in, just one after another. Thank you. This is great. So that's always a joy to see. I don't know if you know it, but we do a live stream of the Onshape releases every 3 weeks. So
really, I didn't know that. That is great.
Get a chance to catch that as well. So
I'll have to remind me. Make sure you email me that, because I would like to catch one of those.
Certainly,
but
absolutely.
But part of this every 3 weeks, though, especially with customers on the forum saying right on, I would imagine what's great is it gives the customers a kind of a window into what's happening. And if something goes wrong, you can hot fix it, or they know in 3 weeks there's going to be an update.
Yep,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah, one of the great stories is if there is a hot fix that, invariably things happen, right? Something gets out, right? And we find it. Somebody helps us identify it. We're on it right away, and that fix is available for everybody in the world instantly, usually very quickly. As well, because we're not asking people to install patches on their computer or things like that. Everybody in the whole world is on the same version. So it's like, way easier for us to make those things happen.
Having the ability to do that as browser-based software, just, I mean, you guys are doing it right. That is a great way to do it.
Yeah. A lot of devices are doing it too. I'm looking at my desk. There's I use this Rodecaster Pro 2, which is hooked up to the internet, right? So it's always getting over the internet updates, even if it's not hooked up to a computer, right? So
That's right.
Yeah. Cool. We have had a lot of cool things to talk about here today, Joel. I mean, this is going to
just get me going. I do talk.
That's what we were counting on, Joel. It's always a lot better when Michael and I don't have to say anything. We can just let our guests go.
I'm trying. I'm really trying.
So,
anything else? Like what's going on here? We still have a few more minutes, right?
I think so. One of the things that people always ask me about in the world of 3D printing is like what the process is, from CAD to, some people use 3D. Actually, you know what? Let me ask you about 3D scanning. Have you ever done anything with that?
A little bit. So a little.
A lot of people ask me I want to 3D scan something and then just make a copy of it and 3D print it, replicate it.
See,
and why is that a bad idea?
So part of the reason why is because when you 3D scan something, it's not just it's not a computer saying, oh, here's this thing, let's make a copy of it, right? It's trying to judge geometry based on certain angles and then compute it in a way where that geometry makes sense in 3D space. And that doesn't mean just your thing. It's the table it's on, it's the chair, it's the legs, it's stuff in the background. And so part of what makes 3D scanning so beyond my reach is you still have to know, I don't know if it's CAD or if it's at least the ability to edit polygons.
Right.
And you have to be able to easily cut off the stuff you don't want and then bring it in. So, I mean, for example, if I were to 3D scan my coffee cup, it's an easy shape, but there's obviously going to be some cleanup. And if I were to just bring that raw data into Onshape, I would be stuck because it
would come in, it would sit there, but it's just a bunch of polygons.
It's literally just triangles. It's a bunch of triangles. So I think for 3D scanning, I think we need to, I don't think 3D scanning needs to change in the data acquisition because more data is always going to be better. I think the tools available need to be made slightly easier so you can draw a circle around something and those disappear and then it's able to heal the mesh. Or I don't exactly know. The problem is I don't do it because I'm scared to. And I tell people you shouldn't be scared. Don't worry, fail forward. But it's still it's a little bit scary. So I don't know. What is that your experience with 3D scanning?
It's definitely been my experience. A lot of people expect magic. And and it's not magic. It's hard work. I think the best case scenario is to use it as a reference. I don't know about you, Richard.
I was just going to say, I mean, most of the CAD products, including Onshape, have tools that can be used to work on imported geometry. But it depends on that imported geometry, how easy it's going to be to clean things up. And it takes a certain skill set to be able to do that as well. So, 3D scanning straight to a 3D printer, I guess that's the dream that's unrealized so far.
But, and you said something interesting. People expect magic.
Yeah.
They should, right? People should expect magic.
Should aspire to.
Because think about Onshape, right? It is a CAD environment running on a browser, which means it's on my phone. I mean, there are a lot of people say they look at their device. They say, "Oh, can it run Doom?" Right? That's the thing. It's like, "Oh, can it run Onshape?" Because it's running in a browser-based environment. And so, let's be honest, that's magic. I mean, if I were to tell you I had a fantastic CAD environment in a browser, if I were to tell you that 10 years ago, you would laugh at me. You'd be like, that's not possible. There's no way we can do that. What are you talking about? But now we have it. And so I think for people to expect magic, I don't think it's bad because, like you said, it's what we aspire to, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we should always be trying to make it so easy it feels magical, right? And that's
One
the
day.
thing we haven't gotten to, I think, in certain parts. And John Hirschtick, our fearless leader, tells us this all the time. Like we're still in the very beginning of the CAD design world, right? This is still the very beginning. It's been 50 years since this first started, CAD technology back in the late 60s, early 70s, but we're still in the beginning. And there's so much more work to do. It really is.
Well, and Iron Man and Robert Downey Jr. kind of set the bar real high for where CAD needs to go.
Yeah, I guess.
You put on a sick beat, you sip a drink, and you're just doing this, and then all of a sudden you have a suit.
Exactly.
I wish, like legit.
Yeah.
Well, that's that. Dang it! Now you got me. At some point in the future, hopefully the near future, all of a sudden you guys or me or someone's going to be like, hey, there's new software out, and it's like that new software is going to it's going to be a finite it's going to be like a locked time and space thing where now going forward, one of those things, it's always going to be at least this.
Yeah.
I want to get to that point.
I completely forgot about this, and I just made a video on this. Onshape recently released on its iOS, like on the iPad or the iPhone, there's LiDAR built in all the new phones and iPads and stuff, right? Now, the precision is not where it needs to be to do a precise scan of like a D&D miniature, right?
Okay.
But if you had that coffee cup, it would scan that, right? And you can scan this directly on your iPad inside of Onshape, and it will bring the polygon data inside of Onshape immediately for you to use as reference to, to sketch out the actual parameter model. So give that a shot sometime.
I might have to try that. Okay.
In the world of 3D scanning.
So it's not magic, but it's magic adjacent.
Yeah, I would say so, because still, you're not getting like, these tiny little, the resolution isn't there for like LiDAR, but I'm sure, this is just the beginning, and technology will improve.
That is fantastic. I like it.
Yeah. So give that a shot.
I will.
I'm thinking back to one of the things that you said earlier on in the interview here about enjoying the process. And that's always been my mindset as well. Our executives talk about their emotional paychecks when they walk in a store and they see a product that was designed with Onshape. I've always been more into the process as well, starting with the specification and working through design and working through manufacturability, and then sending it off to the shop floor. And when it's finished, it's great. I'll go back there and I'll look at it and say, aha. But what got me more excited was when manufacturing would come to me and said, you did a good job allowing us to build this. And so for me, it's all the process. And you're one of the few people that I've talked to that shares that same kind of sentiment. So I appreciate that.
Sure. Well, it's really interesting that where I'm at and where I'm inspiring, hopefully you two to be, is to get that machine. We have machines. It's a robot with a glue gun, essentially, just making a shape. But the thought process going from finding what you want to print to printing the thing to having the thing, like this. Hold on, keep losing my microphone. So. Just real quick, the vacuum destroyed my cable, so I had to find a new cable, and it's shorter. But for example, making this mini Joel, this is in it's sintered nylon, right? I told you about it. But in the process of talking with the company that did it, and then going and seeing the machine and how it works, and being able to get this out of the cake, and then spraying it down to get all the stuff off of it, and feeling it. What we run into is all of these things that we're making now are kind of imbued with the mindset we had while making it. And so this isn't just a thing that I printed. This contains and references, it's a pointer to all the memories I had while making this. And that's the blessing and the curse of this, because I have, dozens of machines that make all these things, but all of the parts that I have on my desk and around me very specifically hold on to those memories that I have of the time and place and where I was when I made the thing. and why I made the thing and how I was feeling when I made the thing. And so I get it, right? The emotional paycheck at the end, being able to see it. But with 3D printing and being able to make all these things, it's not so much emotional paycheck, but it's almost like an emotional pointer. And it references a spot in your brain that you can then replay. I'm hoping, like, if I ever lose my mind, one day someone's going to hold a print to me, and all of a sudden I'm going to have that realization moment, and be like, I'm back.
It reminds me of, like, you crack open a bag of chips, and it reminds me of your memory from your childhood, or some weird thing like that.
Yeah,
forming that connection.
It's that connection that makes sense, right? Doesn't it kind of?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that I haven't been in the design world. I've been doing this community thing for about 20 years now. But I see a picture of an old center station or a big SLS machine, and it takes me back to the 80 hours a week that I was on the on the computer, cranking out parts and cranking out drawings, and that whole process was just so cool.
That's so great. Here, hold on. I want to show you something real quick.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. We got
the Thanos sword. Yep.
I only finished one side of the sword because I wanted to use it as a way to kind of remember the process and show people what's involved. And so you can see the different parts that I had when I was making it, and how I've got some overspray paint, which I left, and there's the glue and the Bondo and some pieces that I fit in order for it to all fit well. That's, part of the joy of this is showing people the process, because it demystifies it. And so I kept one side of the sword unfinished.
That's really
very
cool.
nice. Yep.
Really cool.
And just as an aside, those SLS machines are fun to watch, aren't they? I mean, it's all of a sudden something starts happening on that powder bed. You can't see it, but it's happening.
And then it's almost like searching for buried treasure when it's done. You're
exactly.
combing through the cake.
It reminds me of my early days in CAD watching pen plotters.
Oh yeah,
because that was just fascinating as well. I remember my first experience with a pen plotter. We didn't have one. We didn't own one. The company that I was working with, we actually went to an offsite service bureau, and so I was actually standing there watching this thing being printed out, and it printed a C where an E was supposed to be. And I thought, I hate making spelling mistakes. That's the worst thing in the world. And I thought, oh no! And then that thing came back and it added that little line and made it an E. And I thought, okay, I better not watch this anymore.
It's funny you bring up pen plotters, because that motion system for being able to do it and drop a pen. So there's a really popular TikTok account called Robot Draws, and it's just a pen plotter drawing shapes.
No way.
I kid you not. Like it's crazy that this technology. I mean, people. Like Stranger Things is bringing up music that's really old that this generation doesn't necessarily know about, like Kate Bush, right? And Metallica's Master of Puppets. They just did. Yeah. And so for us, though, on the tech side, we're finding this old technology that it's just old hat to us, but to this current generation, it's either magic or exciting or interesting, or I don't know. It's a crazy thing. Like pen plotters have been around for dozens of years.
I saw my first pen plotter in 1979. I was taking a course on printed circuit board design, and the professor brought one in for us all to see. And it was, it was just an XY arm really that would go over and actually grabbed felt tip markers, and then we go in.
That's
and
so
actually
cool.
do the plot. So.
That's so cool.
That was the first one I saw. I didn't see another one for several years after that, but I'll never forget that night watching that thing move.
Let's see. Here we go.
Oh, there we are.
They added a little effect to it, but it's a little robot. It's a little pen plotter, and that's an account on TikTok. That's like the new social media, and the kids are loving it. So everything old is new again.
Yep. Onshape is also on TikTok recently, so follow that as well.
I love that segue. Nice.
Any other places we can find you on social media? You're on
Twitter, let's see.
YouTube.
Boy, that's a really good question. So YouTube is the main platform right now that we release episodes on, youtube.com/3D printing nerd. Yeah. I'm Joel Telling on Twitter. I'm Joel Telling on Instagram. I know we have a 3D printing 3D Printing Nerd Instagram account. I am Joel Telling 5 on TikTok because I forgot the username and password 4 times.
Oh man,
really, if you go look up 3D Printing Nerd or Joel Telling, I'm super easy to find.
Yeah, totally.
Well, I have an online ID that's Doyle808, but I did not forget my password 807 times.
No,
808
is Hawaii.
Nice.
The area code for Hawaii, right? So, are you Hawaiian?
I was not. In all honesty, I created that when Yahoo first came out, and it asked me to create an account. And when I typed in just Doyle, it said, "I'm sorry, that one's already taken." It gave me some options. And I thought 808 was the easiest one to remember of those options. So
there you go. Wow.
That's no big story behind it. It's just kind of an automatic thing that happened to me.
Wow.
Inside the mind of Richard Doyle.
Yep. That was also the first year I was using Windows too. Oh man, that takes me back.
Look at that. This has been a
history lesson.
This has been almost it's a history lesson. This is going to say we've almost taken a time machine here in this hour.
All right, let's talk about the model of the week, which is a really interesting one. I think it's with the James Webb telescope going out recently. We were looking for some astronomy related objects in the Onshape public model area. And I think we had found a pretty good one, Richard.
We did, and here it is. This is an orrery, and as you eloquently put it a little earlier, local orrery, because yes. We're only showing the sun, the moon, and the Earth here. But it's a pretty neat model, and it's got a pretty neat backstory. So, like you said, we were out there looking for astronomy related models, and we ran across this. So we reached out to the account owner there, a guy named Rob, and Rob informed us that, well, no, I didn't actually model this. It was my 19-year-old son, Jeremy, that modeled this. Turns out Jeremy's been using Onshape since he was about 15 years old. And he was inspired to design this because he really wants to 3D print, CNC machine, and laser cut and build this thing eventually. So let's take a look at the animation here. He's got it properly set up here. We'll go ahead and we'll animate that. And let's go ahead and just loop that thing there, and we'll hit the play button, and off we go.
Yeah. How many mates are on this? I can't quite read.
Oh, goodness. Quite a few of them. Lots of gear mates, obviously, because we've got lots of gears going on and lots of Revolute. And that, that's part of the beauty of Onshape is, it seems like there are a lot of mates, but each of these mates does so much as far as this model goes.
Well, in a lot of other CAD systems, this would be 2 or 3 times the amount of mates.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, I mean, by you're essentially mating the mate when you do a gear mate in Onshape for all the mechanical style mates. You just you get one gear in position, you put the other gear in position, you put the ratio in with a gear mate, and you have it. It's done. Yep. So it's so easy.
Yep. So a really nice model.
What time does that show on the orrery there, Richard? I can't, what date is this?
I don't know about that. We could throw it into a render and do some shading and what have you if we want.
Yeah, we can at least get the full moon or the new moon here.
Yep.
This is pretty cool.
Yep. It's a really nice model, and I just love to watch it move around like that.
Yeah. This is really a demonstration of the nice mating scheme here, and it's a beautiful model too. I would love having this on display on a coffee table or somewhere in a library somewhere. When I add a library to my house, someday, who knows?
That's right. It's funny. This model has actually inspired me, and I don't know why, but it got me thinking of Stirling engines again.
Oh,
I had modeled a Stirling engine many, many years ago, and just found it fascinating. And now I'm looking at something like this, going, maybe I could take a shot at that again. So who knows? Maybe that'll be a model of the week in the future.
Excellent. I look forward to it.
Yep. So that's our model of the week.
Well, I think this was a great episode. I think we got a lot of great stories, and we all learned something. And that's also why I like doing the webcast, because I learned something. And there's always There's always new things to learn every single day, even if
yep.
you're an expert.
Well, and the learning is not going to stop with today, because Joel's given us some great things to go out and take a look at and do some research. And, when you find some great things, you typically end up branching off into some even better things. So
you end up with
thanks
a 3D
for that,
printer
Joel.
next to you is what happens.
We appreciate it. And I'll tell you what, if I get that 3D printer and it's sitting next to me, I'll make sure I tweet out a picture to you.
You better. Absolutely. You better tag me in that.
Well, I think we'll probably wrap things up. And once again, please subscribe to the Onshape YouTube channel, and you can find us on any of the social platforms, podcast platforms out there at Innovators Insider. Subscribe so you get notified. And if you subscribe to the Onshape channel, you get notified of any of the live streams as well. So that'll be a good thing to look for the updates and things like that. So thank you, Joel, for joining us. Really
Thanks for having me. This has been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this. Great. Anytime, man. Anytime.
All right.
Take care, Joel.
Excellent.
Very nice. We had a pretty good show today, huh?
That was an amazing show. I cannot believe that, somebody, I think he started Joel telling, he got into the whole 3D printing world not that long ago.
No.
And he's looked to now as, somebody that, can provide a lot of information to the community about additive manufacturing, 3D printing, and his, the way he does it with his platform and his entertaining style.
Exactly. Fun and informative, I think, is the best way to learn something or the best way to teach something. If you can keep your audience engaged with some humor, with some interesting facts, you're going to keep that audience engaged, and they're going to really learn from you. So we really appreciate Joel's time today, and look forward to talking to him again someday.
Yeah, definitely watch the show. He talks about, some of his famous folks that he's worked with, like Neil Patrick Harris. Remember him from Duke Hauser and How I Met Your Mother. A really good show. It's really a fun thing that he does, and I really think you'll enjoy this episode. So I really hope you'll watch.
I agree. All right, what's coming up next time? I think we're going to be talking to some of our Onshape interns next time for the next episode.
Yes,
and we've got some other stuff too that we'll bring to you. So.
Yeah, the intern program at Onshape is amazing, by the way, Richard. I mean, it's the way they've constructed it and built it. When I first started at Onshape 7 years ago, it was just a marvel. We bring in like 50, 100 interns, almost outnumbering the number of actual employees at that time. This is years ago now, but well-run program. They contribute to the actual software every year. And many of those people become our permanent employees moving forward.
And we're going to talk to a few of them and see some of the projects that they worked on over the summer. So, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Hit the like button for us if you like what you see. And we'll see you next time on the Innovators Insider Podcast.
Be there or be square. Okay.